If you started a healthcare services business in the last 2 years, it doesn't matter how good your team is, doesn't matter how good your clinical outcomes are, doesn't matter how good your tech roadmap is if you're a digital health company, or how sophisticated your investors are. Because the fact is that your biggest challenge right now in your business is contracting. You see, in the healthcare services business, they call the health plans payers for a reason, because the majority of small and growing healthcare businesses generate the majority of their revenue from the health insurance networks that they're a part of. And for those companies that do not have network status with large local health plans in their area, you're going to experience a lot of patient turnover and dissatisfaction, because patients want to go to in-network providers and they don't want to have to deal with the trials and tribulations of prior authorizations, case approvals, or higher copays and higher deductibles that come with out-of-network providers, no matter how great the services are. If you start out as a new provider and you go through the contracting department of a large health plan in your state or city, there's a really good chance that the typical contracting timeline for most health plans is going to be between 6 to 18 months from the date that the application's processed, and that's if everything goes according to plan. But the problem is, in a lot of these local areas, you're starting to see now that a lot of the payer networks are closed. So now a lot of new providers, just as you are getting on your feet, are starting to get these emails from the health insurance contracting departments that are saying, hey, look, we're all full. We don't have any more room in our network for new providers. And that may be the case for the next 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. So just keep reapplying and we'll keep you updated and we'll go from there. Well, you can get in your car and drive around and you can see on Main Street of any city in America, all these healthcare services businesses that provide the same care and the same patient services that your company provides. And they're small and independently owned, and you may be able to acquire those small independent businesses, use their program as your core team, and use their vendor and payer contracts as a means for you to grow and expand your business. Typically, when you complete a business acquisition, there's really one of two types of agreements that are used to finalize a transaction. Typically, you have an asset purchase agreement, and then you also have a stock purchase agreement. The reason why in this particular strategy, a stock purchase agreement is typically going to be more favorable is because when you do a stock purchase agreement and you buy a company using that structure, the company that you're buying as a legal entity stays intact. The EIN and the contractor agreements, as well as the vendor agreements and payer agreements in this case, all continue to attach to that legal entity after the deal goes through. The only thing that changes is the name of the owner. And so in that way, it's kind of turnkey, because it's sort of like an acquisition that allows you to step in to an ongoing business operation and assume control of that enterprise. And in doing so, you actually assume the continuity of all the contracts and agreements that attach to that company, which means that you're able to gain network status with a lot of the key plans in your market. And you're able to do that on a timeline that's not 1, 2, or 3 years, but it may be 1, 2, or 3 months. A lot of people that are watching this may be thinking, well, hey, like, isn't buying a business really expensive? Isn't that really expensive and complicated? Well, it's not as expensive as waiting 2 years to get a call back from United, Aetna, Humana, and Blue Cross Blue Shield if you're looking for network status in your local markets, competing with other local providers. It's also really not that sophisticated, because the types of people that are sophisticated enough to start their own healthcare practice, whether you're a physician or a licensed therapist, the complexity of the education that you've already received is far beyond what you would need in order to read the documents that actually go into finalizing these types of transactions. Yeah, there's some costs and there's a little bit of work that goes into it, and you'll want to have the counsel of an attorney if you have questions in the process, but it doesn't change the fact that you can actually buy businesses today in your market that are profitable. And in every city in America, I'm here to tell you, because I know for sure, because I've done these transactions, there are small independently owned healthcare businesses that are managed by owner operators that are high integrity people that would want to sell their practice for as low as a couple $100,000 in some cases. And the majority of the purchase price they would defer. If you gave them 20 or 30% down, they'll hand over the keys and they'll join your team and they'll throw their team behind your mission. And what that'll do for you and what that'll do for that company is just to create a larger platform of operations that enables you to grow in a more seamless way by partnering with a local provider that has proven staff, proven systems, ongoing patient demand, and the payer network agreements that enable you to continue growing throughout the state. If you're interested in these topics and these ideas and you want to learn more about how to go into your local market, identify, negotiate, and acquire these types of small independent businesses that can help to drive your strategic growth initiatives, take a moment and like this video and actually subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already, because I'm going to keep it coming. I'm going to keep giving you this type of content, and I hope it's helpful and relevant. And I'd love it if you could leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts or suggestions for future videos.